A mounted kudu head is suspended in the air and lit faintly. A coffin, draped in a South African flag, rests on a plinth center stage. As the audience enter, a gravedigger stands knee-deep in a pit, turfing mounds of earth aside with his shovel. A newspaper rollie dangles from his lips, Zulu gospel music blaring from his wireless radio. The company of actors emerge from the wings, dressed as a range of dignitaries. Amongst them are chiefs, kings, government officials, and SADF pallbearers. As the house lights dim, the company congregate around the coffin in a candle-lit vigil. Some of the women in the group begin to pray and sing softly. 4 pallbearers step forward and raise the coffin up onto their shoulders. The funeral party assembles around them and they all begin to move into a stately procession towards the burial site, accompanied by the incantations of a praise singer. Gertrude is at the front, wearing oversized black sunglasses, a black church hat with a veil that partly conceals her face. Hamlet is behind her, his one hand resting on the coffin. Claudius to the right, in mourning suit, with leopard skin draped across his shoulders. As the procession arrives at the gravesite, Hamlet, dressed in a black suit with freshly shaven head, steps forward. At first he shows no emotion, crouching down and gathering a handful of earth before rising again. He contemplates the dust in his open palm before looking over at the empty grave. The gravedigger gestures solemnly towards the hole. Hamlet lets the dust pour through his fingers. As he does so, his impassive expression crumples into a mask of despair, and he lets out a cry that rings out to the back of the theatre. Lights rise on a disheveled Hamlet sitting on a toilet, his pants gathered around his ankles and his head buried in his hands. At his feet rests a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue.
Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. Or that uThixo Somandla had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. Bow. Oh, bow. 'Tis an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely that it should come to this. But 2 months dead. Nay, not so much, not 2. So excellent a king that was to this, Hyperion to Satyr. So loving to my mother that he might not beteem the winds of heaven visit her face too roughly. Heaven and earth, must I remember why she would hang on him as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on, and yet within a month. Let me not think on it. Frailty, thy name is woman. A little month or ere the shoes were old with which he followed my poor father's body like Niobe, old tears. Why she, even she, oh God, a beast that once discourse of reason would have mourned longer, married with my uncle, my father's brother, but no more like my father than I to Hercules. Within a month, ere yet the salt of most unrighteous tears hath left the flushing of her galled eyes, she married. Oh, most wicked speed, to post with such dexterity to incestuous sheets. It is not, no, it cannot come to good, but break my heart, for I must hold my tongue.
Ophelia, dressed as a bridesmaid, raps on the bathroom door until Hamlet emerges. Ophelia takes a moment to fix his tie and touch his face tenderly before gently prizing the whiskey bottle out of his hand and gesturing towards the upstage wedding celebration. We are in the royal family home, an opulent Saxon-walled mansion decked out for the royal wedding with bunches of gold and black helium balloons. Claudius and Gertrude are at the center of the banquet table, surrounded by their guests. As the lights rise, Claudius is nearing the end of his speech and slurring a little into the mic.
Nawona sisentsha nje inkumbulo ngomntakwethu akasekho uHamlet, and that it has befitted to bear our hearts in grief and our whole kingdom to be contracted in one brow of woe. So far hath discretion fought with nature, that we with wisest sorrow think on him together with remembrance of ourselves. Khawekazi yesizwe samagorha emfazwe phakathi kweziyunguma nentsizi, have we, as 'twere with defeated joy, with one auspicious and one dropping eye, with mirth in funeral and with dirge in marriage, in equal scale weighing both delight and dole, taken to wife. Nor have we herein barred your better wisdoms, which have freely gone with this affair along. For all, thanks.
The wedding party move downstage to where a wedding photographer is waiting before a mottled background cloth. The portrait session begins with the photographer ushering Claudius and Gertrude into the center tableau. On the photographer's cue, they all smile as the umbrella flash ignites. Hamlet emerges on the sidelines, holding a black helium balloon on a string.
Kodwa Hamlet, mtshana, nyana wami.
Mfitshikeleyo. A little more than kin and less than kind.
Yini nakuba busangane ubuso bakho elinje lona ilifu phezu kwakho?
Enenene kunjalo nkosi yami. Unyana lo wakho uqhakaze ngendlela engummangaliso phansi kwesitha selanga.
Sana lwam, Hamlet, cast thy knightly colour off and let thine eyes look like a friend on Denmark. Do not with thy veiled lids seek for thy noble father in the dust. Thou knowest, 'tis common. Ekugqibeleni wonke ubani uyakuthi abhubhe, ziyadlulele kunaphakade.
Aye, madam, 'tis common.
If it be, why seems it so particular with thee?
Seems, madam. Nay, it is, I know not seems. 'Tis not alone my inky cloak, good mother, no customary suits of solemn black, nor the dejected haviour of the visage, together with all forms, moods, shapes of grief that can denote me truly, these indeed seem, for they are actions that a man might play, but I have that within which passeth show, these but the trappings and the suits of woe.
Claudius motions for Gertrude to leave the portrait and sit center on a traditional throne, with Hamlet now placed beside him. This time, Claudius takes the liberty to arrange the tableau, placing Hamlet's hand affectionately on his own shoulder. The flash pops.
It is sweet and commendable in your nature, Hamlet, to give these mourning duties to your father, but you must know your father lost a father. That father lost his, and the survivor bound in filial obligation for some term to do obsequious sorrow. But to persevere in obstinate condolement is a course of impious stubbornness. 'Tis most unmanly grief. We pray you throw to earth this unprevailing woe, and think of us as of a father. For your intent in going back to school in Wittenberg, it is most retrograde to our desire, and we beseech you, bend you to remain here in the cheer and comfort of our eye, our chiefest courtier, cousin, and our son.
Nceda uyive imithandazo yam. Ndingunyoko Hamlet, ndiyakucela. Go not to Wittenberg.
Why, 'tis a loving and fair reply. Be as ourself in Denmark. Come, sondele. This gentle and unforced accord of Hamlet sits smiling gently or yummy. Massiene!
At Claudius' command, the formalities are over, and the dance floor is declared open. As the photographer begins to pack up, Ophelia takes Hamlet's hand and pulls him into the portrait setup. Hamlet, still holding the balloon, takes it and ties it to Ophelia's wrist. She smiles before motioning to the photographer. As the flash pops, she plants a kiss on Hamlet's cheek. The wedding guests are having a wild time on the dance floor. Gertrude is coupled with Claudius, Laertes with Polonius, and Hamlet with Ophelia. Our focus shifts to Hamlet, who from over Ophelia's shoulder eyes Gertrude dancing with Claudius. As the couple turn a rotation, Hamlet notices that it's no longer his uncle in his mother's arms, but his deceased father. Time seems to stop. The bodies on the dance floor moving as if through water. Hamlet, transfixed by the apparition, leaves Ophelia's arms and confronts the ancestor king in an isolated corridor of light.
Stay, illusion. If thou hast any sound or use of voice, speak to me. If there be any good thing to be done that may to thee do ease and grace to me, speak to me. Speak, stay and speak.
The ancestor king, saying nothing, turns away and slumps despondently back into Gertrude's arms. As Gertrude and her dance partner turn another circle, the likeness of Hamlet's father is once again replaced by that of Claudius. Hamlet, his head spinning, rushes from the dance floor and collapses on one of the downstage sofas. Laertes, noticing her sister alone and dejected on the dance floor, pulls her into the ladies' bathroom. The sisters stand framed by an illuminated bathroom mirror. Laertes touches up her makeup while Ophelia scrolls through her phone.
My necessaries are embarked. Soon you must bid farewell, and sister, as the winds give benefit and convoy is assistant, do not sleep, but let me hear from you.
Do you doubt that?
For Hamlet, and the trifling of his favour, hold it a fashion and a toy in blood, a violet in the youth of priming nature, forward, not permanent, sweet, not lasting, the perfume and suppliance of a minute, no more.
No more but so?
I think it no more. Perhaps he loves you now, and now no soil nor caudle doth besmirch the virtue of his will. But you must fear, his greatness weighed, his will is not his own, for he himself is subject to his birth. He may not, as unvalued persons do, carve for himself, for on his choice depends the safety and health of the whole state. And therefore must his choice be circumscribed unto the voice and yielding of that body whereof he is the head. Then, if he says he loves you, it fits your wisdom so far to believe it, as he in his peculiar place and act may give his saying deed, which is no further than the main voice of Denmark goes withal. Then weigh what loss your honour may sustain, if with too credent ear you list his songs, or lose your heart, or your chaste treasure open to his unmastered importunity. Fear it, Ophelia, fear it, my dear sister, and keep you in the rear of your affections, out of the shot and danger of desire. Be wary then. Best safety lies in fear. Youth to itself rebels, though none else near.
I shall the effect of this good lesson keep as watchman to my heart. But, good my sister, do not, as some ungracious pastors do, show me the steep and thorny way to heaven, whilst like a pupt and reckless libertine herself, the primrose path of dalliance treads and recks not her own reed.
Oh, fear me not. We stay too long.
Laertes removes a vial from her purse and sprinkles a line for each of them on the sides of their hands. They inhale. Before Ophelia holds her phone up and snaps a pouting selfie of the two of them. As the ladies exit the bathroom, they encounter their tipsy father, Polonius, sitting on one of the sofas with a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses waiting. He beckons them to join him before popping the cork and pouring them each a celebratory glass.
A double blessing is a double grace. Occasion smiles upon a second leave.
Yet your ladies, aboard for shame! The wind sits in the shoulder of your sail, and you are stayed for. There. My blessing with thee. These 2 precepts in thy memory look thou character. Give thy thoughts no tongue, nor any unproportioned thought is that. Be thou familiar, but no means vulgar. Those friends thou hast and their adoption tried, grapple them unto thy soul with hoops of steel. But do not dull thy palm with entertainment of new hatched unfledged quarrel. Beware of entrance to a quarrel, but do in bear that the opposed may beware of thee. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censure, but reserve thy judgment. Costly thy habit as thy purse can buy, but not expressed in fancy. Rich, not gaudy, for the apparel oft proclaims the woman. Neither a borrower nor a lender be, for loan oft loses both itself and friend, and borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry. This above all to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst then not be false to any man. Farewell. My blessing seasons thee.
Most humbly will I take my leave, my lord.
But time invites you go.
And Ophelia, remember well what I've said to you.
'Tis in my memory locked, and you yourself shall keep the key of it.
What is it Ophelia here hath said to you?
So please you, something touching the Lord Hamlet.
Very well bethoughtest told me, hath of late given private time to you, and you yourself have of your audience been most free and bounteous. What is between you, Ophelia? Give me up the truth.
He hath, my lord, of late made many tenders of his affection to me.
Affection! You speak like a green girl unsifted in such perilous circumstance. Do you believe these tenders, as you call them?
I do not know, my lord, what I should think. He hath importuned me with love in honourable fashion.
Aye, fashion you may call it. Go to, go to. From this time, be somewhat scanter of your maiden presence. For Hamlet, that he is young, and with a larger tether he may walk than he may be given you. In few, Ophelia, do not believe his vows. This is for all. I would in plain terms on this time forth not have you so slander any moment leisure as to give word or talk with the Lord Hamlet. Look to it, I charge you. Come your ways.
I shall obey, my lord.
Hey. Hey. Hail your lordship.
I'm glad to see thee well, Horatio. Or do I forget myself?
The same, my chief, and your poor servant Heaven.
Come, Amanda, I'll change that name with you. What make you from Wittenberg, Horatio? We'll teach you to drink deep, depart.
My lord, I came to see your father's funeral.
I pray thee do not mock me, fellow student. I think it was to see my mother's wedding.
Indeed, my friend, it followed hard upon.
Thrift, Horatio. The funeral baked meats did coldly furnish forth the marriage tables. Would I had met my dearest foe in heaven, or ever I'd seen that day, Horatio. Fit, my father. Methinks I see my father.
Gulpinfoot.
Season your admiration for a while with an attent ear till I may deliver this marvel to you.
Let me hear.
Okay, Fit. But a few moments ago, a figure like Udada appears before me and shuffles slow and stately by. I knew him, Horatio. These hands are not more like.
It's very strange.
As I do live, my honored friend, 'tis true.
Saw you his face?
Yes,
What? Looked he frowningly?
a countenance more in sorrow than in anger.
Pale or red?
Very pale.
And fixed his eyes upon you?
Most constantly.
Did you not speak to it?
I did, but answer made it none.
I would I had been there.
Oh, it would have much amazed you.
Very like. Stayed it long?
Not when I saw it, no.
His beard was grizzled, no?
It was as I've seen it all his life, a sable silvered. I will watch tonight, Horatio. Perchance to walk again, if it assume my noble father's persons our tetanaso, though hell itself should gape and bid me hold my peace. Mamela. It comes again and beckons me to go away with it.
Do not, my chief.
Goba, what should be the fear? I do not set my life at a pin's fee, and for my soul, what can it do to that, being a thing as immortal as itself? Send me Zabakon, I'll follow it.
What if it tempt you towards the flood in Soweto, or to the dreadful summit of the cliff that beetles over his grace into the sea, and there assume some other horrible form, which might deprive you of your sovereignty, of reason, and draw you into madness?
It waves me still.
You shall not go, my chief.
Hold off your hands.
You shall not go.
I hand me, by heaven. I'll make the ghost of him that lets me, I say, away. Go on, I'll follow thee.
You wax as desperate with imagination.
Hamlet stumbles onto the dance floor. He searches through the dancing crowd, pushing through the sea of balloons to find the source of the voice. Time seems to stand still. The wedding guests melt into a Last Supper tableau around the banquet table. The ancestor king, dressed in traditional attire, rises onto the center table, his eyes glazed over. The mounted kudu head on the wall smoldering above him.
Shall some ministers abreast defend us? Be thou a spirit of health, O goblin death. Bring with thee heirs from heaven, blasts from hell. Be thy intents wicked or charitable. Thou comest in such a questionable shape that I will speak to thee. I'll call thee Hamlet. Kumkani. Dada. Royal Dane, what may this mean? That thou, dead corpse, revisits thus the glimpses of the moon, making night hideous, and we, fools of nature, so horridly to shake our disposition with thoughts beyond the reaches of our souls. Say, why is this? Oh, wherefore? What should we do?
Yeah. My hour is almost come when I to sulphurous and tormenting flames must render up myself.
Oh, Swinzelandine.
Sundisizela, but lend thy serious hearing to what I shall unfold.
Ted and my man.
So art thou to revenge when thou shalt hear. Hamlet. Utatriloba. Sleeping in my orchard, a serpent stung me. But know, thou noble youth, the serpent that did sting thy father's life now wears his crown.
Oh, my prophetic soul, damn.
Ewe, lamtuna manyala, that incestuous beast, with witchcraft of his wit, with traitorous gifts won to his shameful lust, the will of my most seeming virtuous queen. Brief let me be, sleeping in my orchard, my custom, whereas always of the afternoon. Upon my secure hour thy uncle stole, with juice of cursed Lebanon in a vial. And then the porches of mine ears, Watelalando yenze is lepere, whose effect holds such an enmity with blood of men, that swift as quicksilver it courses through the gates and natural alleys of the body, and with a sudden vigor doth possess and curd the wholesome blood. So did it mine. Thus Was I sleeping by a brother's hand of life, of crown and queen? Cut off even in the blossoms of my sin. No reckoning made, but sent to my account with all my imperfections on my head.
The banquet tables on either side of the ancestor king are moved by the wedding guests into new formations. Lights rise on the first table, revealing a corpse concealed under white sheet. The scene is isolated by the clinical light of a morgue. Hamlet approaches the body and lifts up the sheet to examine the face.
Amanyala, amanyane. If thou hast nature in thee, bear it not. Do not let the royal bed of Denmark be the couch of luxury and damned incest.
The second banquet table is now moved into a separate pool of light. Gertrude is splayed seductively on her back. Claudius steps into the pool of light, looming over her while smiling and unbuckling his belt. Gertrude rises to meet him, and the lovers melt into each other.
But howsoever thou pursuest this act, taint not thy mind, nor let thy soul contrive against thy mother aught. Mekele emasulwini nasemeveni asesifubeni nasemabeleni akhe to sting her. Diakushiya. Hamlet, undikhumbule.
Mazulu. What else shall I couple help? Oh, fie, hold my heart, and you, my sinews, grow not instant old, but bear me stiffly up, ndikhumbule. Aye, Stunzelandin, while memory holds a seat in this distracted globe, ndakhumbula. Yea, from the table of my memory, I'll wipe away all trivial fond records, all sores of books, all forms, all precious past that youth and observation copied there, and thy commandment all alone shall live within the book and volume of my brain, unmixed with baser matter. Yes, by heaven! Oh, most pernicious woman! Oh, villain, smiling, damned villain! My tables. Meet it is, I set it down, that one may smile and be a villain. At least I'm sure it may be so in Denmark. So, uncle, there you are. Now, to my word. It is Dekushia, Dekumbule. I have sworn it.
Chief. Chief. What news, Chief?
Oh, wonderful.
What, my Chief? Tell it.
Nay, you will reveal it.
Not I, my lord, by heaven.
How say you then, would heart of man once think it, but you'll be secret?
Aye, by heaven, my Chief.
There's ne'er villain dwelling in all of Denmark, but he is an arrant knave.
There needs no ghost, my Chief, come from the grave to justice.
What right? You are without stance at all. I hold it fit that we hold hands and part. You and your business shall point you, for every man has business and desire, such as it is. And for mine own part, look you, I'll go pray.
These are but wild and whirling words, my Chief.
I'm sorry they offend you. Heartily. Yes, Faith, heartily.
There's no offense, my Chief.
But there is, Horatio, and much offense too. Touching this ghost here, It is an honest one. Let me tell you. For you desire to know what is between us, or master it as you may. And now, my good friend, give me one poor request.
What is it, my chief? I will.
Never make known what I have seen here tonight.
My chief, I will not.
Funga.
But this is wondrous strange.
And therefore, as a stranger, give it welcome. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than I dreamt of in your philosophy. But come, here as before. Never, so help you mercy. How strange or odd soe'er I bear myself, as I perchance hereafter shall think meet to put an disposition on, that you at such time seeing me never shall, with arms encumbered thus, or with this head shake, or by pronouncing of some doubtful phrase as, well, we know, or we could, and if we would, or such ambiguous giving out to note that you know aught of me, this not to do. So grace and mercy at your most need help you, Funga.
Funga!
Hamlet takes his drink and pours some on the ground as an offering.
Toba, bitter spirit, Marco. And still your fingers on your lips, I pray. The time is of your joy. O cursed spite that ever I was born to set it right.
Two assistants are cleaning the house, sweeping confetti from the floor, removing wedding decorations and untying balloons from the chairs. A stepladder stands center stage with Polonius on the ground, overseeing one of his assistants removing the mounted kudu head and replacing it with that of a buffalo skull. After the kudu head has been passed to the ground, Polonius proceeds to wrap it up in sheets of bubble wrap and sticks a few fragile stickers on the surface.
Oh no, Ophelia, what's the matter?
Oh, my lord, I have been so affrighted.
With what in the name of heaven?
My lord, as I was sewing in my closet, Lord Hamlet, with his doublet all unbraced, no hat upon his head, his stockings fouled, ungartered, and downgyved to his ankle, pale as his shirt, his knees knocking each other, and with a look so piteous and purport as if he had been loosed out of hell, to speak of horrors he comes before me.
Oh, what said he?
My lord, I do not know, but truly I do fear it. He took me by the wrist and held me hard. Then goes he to the length of all his arm, and with his other hand, thus o'er his brow, he falls to such perusal of my face as he would draw it. Long stayed he so. At last, a little shaking of mine arm, and thrice his head thus waving up and down, he raised a sigh so piteous and profound as it did seem to shatter all his bulk and end his being. That done, he lets me go, and with his head over his shoulder turned, he seemed to find his way without his eyes, for outdoors he went without their helps, and to the last bended their light on me.
Come, this is the very ecstasy of love with violent property fordoes itself and leads the world to desperate undertakings. Oh, I'm sorry. What, have you given him any hard words of late?
No, my good lord, but as you did command, I did repel his messages and denied his access to me.
That hath made him mad. I must go and seek the king. This must be known.
Claudius and Gertrude enter dressed in golfing attire and followed by a caddy who passes them each a club. Claudius lines up his shot with a golf ball placed on a tee. He is about to strike when a member of his staff announces the arrival of guests.
Am Gelegele, Werner Rosenkranz, no Guildenstern. The need we have to use you did provoke our hasty sending. Something have you heard of Hamlet's transformation? We beseech you that you vouchsafe your rest here in our court some little time, so by your companies to draw him on to pleasures, and to gather so much as from occasion you may glean, whether aught to us unknown afflicts him thus, that opened lies within our remedy.
Good gentleman, he hath much talked of you, and so I am to men that are not living, to whom he more adheres. If it will please you to show us so much gentry and goodwill as to expend your time with us a while, for the supply and profit of our hope, your visitation shall receive such thanks as fits a king's remembrance.
Both your majesties might by the sovereign power you have of us put your dread pleasures more into command than to entreaty.
But we both obey and give up ourselves in the full bent to lay our service freely at your feet to be commanded.
Bah, Siabulela, Rosenstern, no, and Gildenkrantz.
Thanks, Guildenstern and gentle Rosencrantz. And I beseech you to instantly visit my too much changed son. Go, bring this gentleman where Hamlet is.
Heavens make our presence and our practices pleasant and helpful to him.
Amen.
Claudius and Gertrude return to their game, with Claudius warming up a little before. He is about to strike when once again he is interrupted.
Am I, my lord? I hold my duty as I hold my soul, both to my God and to my gracious king. And I do think that I have found the very cause of Hamlet's lunacy.
Speak of that I do long to hear. We Gertrude, son, he hath found the head and source of all your son's distemper.
I doubt it is no other but the main, his father's death and our, hasty marriage.
Jäger, we shall sift him.
My liege, madam, I will be brief. Your noble son is mad. Mad, call I it, for to define true madness, what is it but to be nothing else but mad? But let that go.
More matter with less art?
Madam, I swear I use no art at all. That is mad, call I it, for to define true madness. I have a daughter, while she is mine, who in a duty and obedience mark hath given me this. Now gather and surmise. To the celestial and my soul's idol, the most beautified of Ophelia. That's an ill phrase, it's a vile phrase. Beautified is a vile phrase, but you shall hear. To the celestial and my soul's idol, thus in an excellent right bosom. Good madam, stay a while, I will be faithful.
Came this from Hamlet's wall?
Yeah, madam, I will be faithful. Doubt thou the stars are fire, doubt that the sun doth move, doubt truth to be a liar, but never doubt I love. This in obedience hath my daughter showed me, and more above.
Yeah, but how hath she received his love?
What do you think of me?
Oh, as of a friend, faithful and honorable.
I would fain prove so. When I had received this hot love on the wing, I precepts gave her that she should lock herself from his resort, admit no messengers, receive no tokens, which done, she took the fruits of my advice, and he repelled. A short tale to make, fell into a sadness, then into a fast, thence to a watch, thence to a weakness, thence to a lightness, and by this he declension into the madness when he rini now raise, and we all mourn for. Have there been such a time, I'd fain know that, when I've said, 'tis so, when it proved otherwise?
Not that I know.
Take this from this, if this be otherwise. If circumstances lead me, I will find where truth is hid, though it be hid in the center.
How may we try it further?
You know, sometimes he walks 4 hours together here in the lobby.
So he does indeed.
At such a time, I loose my daughter to him. Be you and I behind an arras, then mark the encounter.
But look, where the poor wretch comes.
Hamlet appears carrying a pile of books in his arms. He takes a book from the top of his pile and throws it down on the ground before him, using each book as a stepping stone to the next. Gradually, his path begins to zigzag across the stage.
I'll board him presently. How does my good Lord Hamlet?
Well, God of mercy.
Do you know me, my lord?
Excellent. Well, you are a fishmonger.
Not I, my lord.
Then I would you were so honest a man.
Honest, my lord?
Aye, sir. To be honest, as this world goes, is to be one man picked out of 10,000.
That's very true, my lord.
For if the sun breed maggots in a dead dog, being a good kissing carrion. Have you a daughter?
I have, my lord.
Let her not walk in the sun. Conception is a blessing, but not as your daughter may conceive. Friend, look to it.
Oh, see about that. Still harping on my daughter, but he said he knew me not. He said I was a fishmonger. He's far gone, far gone. And truly, in my youth, I suffered much extremity for love very nearness. I'll speak to him again. What do you read, my lord?
Words, words, words.
What is the matter, my lord?
Between who?
I mean the matter that you read, my lord.
Slander, sir. For the satirical rogue says here that old men have grey beards. Their faces are wrinkled, their eyes purging thick amber or plum tree gum, and that they have a plentiful lack of wit, together with most weak hams. All which, sir, though I most powerfully and potently believe, yet I hold it not honesty to have it thus set down, for you yourself, sir, should be as old as I am. If like a crab, you could go backward.
So if this be madness, there be method in him. My lord, will you walk out of the air?
Into my grave.
Indeed, that's out of the air. How pregnant sometimes his replies are. A happiness that often madness hits on, which reason and sanity could not so prosperously be delivered of. My honourable lord, I will most humbly take my leave of you.
You cannot, sir, take from me anything that I will more willingly part withal. Except my life, except my life, my
Fare
life.
you well, my lord.
These tedious old fools.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern enter the lounge area, carrying a six-pack of beer and a banky of weed, which Hamlet promptly snatches away and makes quick work of, rolling them all a joint.
Mine honored lord.
My dear lord!
My excellent good friends, Nazis and Jazama, Machita, Rosencrantz, Guildenstern, how do you both?
As being different children of the earth.
Happy in that we're not over happy. On Fortune's cap, we're not at the very bottom.
Know the souls of Yeshu?
Neither, my lord.
Then you live about her waist, or in the middle of
Face her private suite.
in the secret parts of Fortune. Almost true. Ya khair, Muslim Dan. What's news?
None, my lord, but that the world's grown honest.
Then is doomsday near. But your news is not true. Let me question more in particular. What have you, Machita, deserved at the hands of Fortune that she bring you to prison hither?
Prisons, my lord.
Denmark's a prison.
That is the world one.
A goodly one, in which there are many confines, wards, dungeons, Denmark being one of the worst.
We think not so, my lord.
Why then 'tis none to you, for there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So, to me 'tis a prison.
Why then your ambition makes it so. 'Tis too narrow for your mind.
I could be bound in a... Shall we to the court?
We'll wait upon you.
No such matter. I will not sort you with the rest of my servants. But come, in the beaten way of friendship, what make you at Elsinore?
To visit you, my lord. No other occasion.
Were you not sent for? Is it a free visitation? Is it your own inclining? Come, deal justly with me. Come, speak.
What should we say, my lord?
Why, anything to the purpose. You were sent for, and there's a kind of confession in your looks which your modesties are not the craft enough to colour. I know the good king and queen have sent for you.
To what end, my lord?
For that you must teach me. But let me conjure you, by the rights of our fellowship, be even and direct with me whether you were sent for or no.
What say you?
Nay, then I have an eye of you. If you love me, hold not off.
Yeah, my lord, we were sent for.
I will tell you why. So shall my anticipation prevent your discovery, and your secrecy to the king and queen more. I have of late, but wherefore, I know not, lost all my mirth, forgone all custom of exercise. And indeed it goes so heavily with my disposition that this goodly frame, the earth, seems to me a sterile promontory. This most excellent canopy, the air, look you, this brave o'erhanging firmament, this majestical roof fretted with gold and fire, why it appears to me nothing more than a foul and pestilent congregation of vapors. What a piece of work is a man? How noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form and moving, how express and admirable, in action how like an angel, in apprehension how like a god, the beauty of the world, the paragon of the animals, and yet, to me, what is this quintessence of dust? Man delights not me. No. No woman neither, though by your smiling you seem to say so.
My lord, there was no such stuff in my thirst.
Then why did you laugh when I said man delights not me?
To think, my lord, if you delight not in man, what Lenten entertainment the players shall receive from you. We coated them on the way, and hither they come to offer you their service.
He that plays the king shall be welcome. But my uncle father and my aunt mother are deceived.
In what, my lord?
I am but mad, northwest. When the wind is southerly, I know a hawk from a handsaw.
3 players, recent Wits Drama School grads, enter with an assortment of props, djembe drums and duffel bags. They greet Hamlet warmly and settle into the party, helping themselves to a beer and partaking in the joint. Hamlet motions for one of the actors to use the coffee table as an impromptu stage. A microphone with stand is handed to her as the rest of the group settle in for the improvised performance, occasionally embellishing it with an assortment of vocalizations and musical underscoring.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, my good friends. Oh, Shomzam. Come. We'll have a speech straight. Come. A passionate speech. Give us a taste of your quality. Come.
What speech, Bahulu?
I heard thee speak me a speech once, but it was never acted. Or if it was, not above once. For the play I remember pleased not the million. 'Twas caviar to the general. One speech in it I chiefly loved. 'Twas Aeneas' tale to Dido, and thereabout of it especially, where he speaks of Priam's slaughter. If it live in your memory, begin at this line. Let me see. The rugged Pyrrhus. It begins with Pyrrhus. The rugged Pyrrhus.
He whose sable arms, black as his purpose, did the knight resemble when he lay couched in the ominous horse, hath now this dread and black complexion smeared with heraldry more dismal. Head to foot, now he is total ghouls, roasted in wrath and thus sized with coagulate gore, with eyes like carbuncles, the hellish Pyrrhus sold grandsire Priam seeks. Hey, striking too short at the Greeks, his antique sword, rebellious to his arm, lies where it falls, repugnant to command. Unequal matched, Pyrrhus at Priam drives, enraged strikes wide, but with a whiff and wind of his fell sword, the unnerved father falls. Then, senseless, Ilium seeming to feel this blow, with flaming top stoops to his base, and with a hideous crash takes prisoner Pyrrhus' ear. For lo, his sword, which was declining on the milky head of Reverend Priam, seemed in the air to stick. So as a painted tyrant, Pyrrhus aema, and like a neutral to his will and matter asadiriselo. But as often as we see against some storm, a silence skomachorimong, the wreck stand still. The bold winds, and the orb below as hush as death. Anon the dreadful thunder doth rend the region so, after Pyrrhus' pause, aroused vengeance, sets him new a work, and never did the Cyclops' hammers fall on Mars, his armors, forged for proof etern, with less remorse than Pyrrhus' bleeding sword now falls on Priam.
This is too long.
Shelter the barbers with your beard. Prithee, say on. He's for a jig or a tale of bawdry, or he sleeps. Say on, come to Hecuba.
But who had seen the mobled queen?
The mobled queen?
That's good.
The joint is offered to Polonius, who politely declines.
Run barefoot, up and down, threatening the flames with bison ruin. A clout about that head where the late diadem stood, and for a robe about her lank and all-o'er-teemed loins, a blanket. In the alarm of fear caught up. Who this had seen, with tongue in venom steeped, gainst fortune's state would treason have pronounced. But if the gods themselves did see her then, when she saw Pyrrhus make malicious sport in mincing with a sword her husband's limbs, the instant burst of clamor that she made, and unless things mortal move them not at all, would have made milch the burning eyes of heaven, and passion in the gods.
Oh, look where she has tears in her eyes. Pray you no more.
'Tis well. I'll have thee speak out the rest soon. Good my lord, will you see the players well bestowed? You hear? Let them be well used, for they are the abstracts and brief chronicles of the time.
My lord, I will use them according to their desert.
Use every man according to his desert, and who should escape whipping.
Come.
Follow him, friends. We'll hear play tomorrow. Can you play the Murder of Gonzago?
Aye, Trumpy.
We'll have it tomorrow night. You could, for a need, study a speech of some 12 or 16 lines, which I would set down and insert in it, could you not?
Aye, my lord.
Very well. Follow that lord, and look you mock him not. Chomzam, I will leave you till tonight. Namgelegile ape alsono.
Good, my lord.
God be with you. Now I am alone. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I. Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force her soul so to her own conceit that from her working all her visage wan, tears in her eyes, distraction in her aspect, a broken voice, and her whole function suiting with forms to her conceit, and all for nothing, for Hecuba. What's Hecuba to her, or her but that she should weep for her? What would she do? Had she the motive and cue for passion that I have? She would drown the stage with tears and cleave the general ear with horrid speech, make mad the guilty and appall the free, confound the ignorant, and amaze indeed the very faculty of the eyes and ears. Yet I, a dull and muddy metalled rascal, peak like John a dreams, unpregnant of my cause, and can say nothing. No, not for a king, a property, and most dear life, a damned defeat was made. Am I a coward? Who calls me villain, breaks my pate across, plucks off my beard and blows it in my face, tweaks me by the nose and gives me the lie in the throat as deep as to the lungs. Who does me this? Ah! Swoons, I should take it, for it cannot be that I am pigeon-livered and lack gall to make oppression bitter. For ere this I should have affected all the region kites with this slave's offal. Bloody, bawdy villain! Remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindless villain of vengeance! Why, what an ass am I! This is most brave, that I, the son of a dear father murdered, prompted to my revenge by heaven and hell, must like a whore unpack my heart with words and fall about cursing like a very drab, a scullion. Fire upon it, foe! About my brain. I have heard that guilty creatures sitting at a play have by the very cunning of the scene been so struck to the soul that presently they have proclaimed their malefactions. For murder, though it have no tongue, will speak with most miraculous organ. I'll have these players play something like the murder of my father before mine uncle. I'll observe his looks. I'll tend him to the quick. If he but blench, I'll know my course.
Hamlet kneels with the bowl of impepo. He lights the plant and cleanses himself in the smoke. Behind him, a lamp alongside one of the sofas flickers to life, revealing the ancestor king sitting there, watching silently on.
The spirit I have seen may be the devil. And the devil hath the power to assume a pleasing shape, yea, and perhaps out of my melancholy and my practice, as he is potent with such spirits, abuses me to damn me. I'll have grounds more relative than this. The play's the thing, wherein I will catch the conscience of the king.
And can you by no drift of conference get from him why he puts on this confusion?
He does, my lord, confess he feels himself distressed, but from which cause he will by no means speak.
Nor do we find him forward to be sounded, but with crafty madness keeps aloof when we would bring him onto some confession of true state.
Did he receive you well?
Most like a gentleman.
But with much forcing of his disposition.
Niggard of question, but of our demands, most free in his reply.
Did you essay him to any pastime?
Madam, it fell so out that some players were overwrought on the way. Of these we told him, and there did seem in him a kind of joy to hear of it.
'Tis most true, and he beseeched me to entreat your majesty to hear and see the matter.
Ngenhliziyo yami yonke iyandonwabisa. Bohlekazi, give him further edge and drive his purpose on to these delights.
We will, my lord.
Yes, Tandwa Gertrude, leave us to Ngishenotadake. Lawful espials thus may of their encounter frankly judge if the affliction of his love or no be that he suffers for.
Saktobela. And for your part, Ophelia, I do wish that your good beauties be the happy cause of Hamlet's wildness. So shall I hope your virtues will bring him to his wonted way again. To both your honors.
Madam, I wish it may.
Ophelia, walk you here, read on this book, that show of such an exercise may colour your loneliness. Let's withdraw. Let's withdraw, my lord.
Hamlet sits alone in the lounge area, removing fragile stickers and cutting free the kudu head mount from the bubble wrap which Polonius had concealed it in earlier. Hamlet then places the head on the opposite sofa, pausing for a moment to contemplate the bodiless creature staring back at him with empty glass eyes.
To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep perchance to dream, aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country upon whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will, and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. And thus conscience does make cowards of us all. And thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pith and moment with disregard turn their currents awry and lose the name of action. Soft, you know, frail Ophelia, nymph, in thy orisons be all my sins remembered.
Good, my lord? How does your honor for this many a day?
I humbly thank you. Well.
My lord, I have remembrances of yours that I have longed to re-deliver. I pray you now, receive them.
No, not I. I never gave you aught.
My honored lord, you know right well you did. And with them, words of so sweet breath composed as made the things more rich. Their perfume lost, take these again, for to the noble mind rich gifts wax poor when givers prove unkind. There.
Are you honest?
My lord?
Are you fair?
What means your lordship?
I did love you once.
Indeed, my lord. You made me believe so.
You should not have believed me. I loved you not.
I was the more deceived.
Get thee to a nunnery. Why wouldst thou be a breeder of sinners? I am myself indifferent honest, yet I could accuse me of such things that it were better my mother had not borne me. What should such fellows as I do, crawling between earth and heaven? We are arrant knaves all, believe none of us. Go thy ways to a nunnery. Where is your father?
Kochaye, my lord.
Let the doors be shut upon him, that he may play the fool nowhere else but in his own house. Farewell! If thou dost marry, I'll give thee this plague for thy dowry. Be thou as chaste as ice, as pure as snow, thou shalt not escape calumny. Get thee to a nunnery. Go, farewell! Or if thou needs marry, marry a fool, for wise men know well enough what monsters you make of them. To a nunnery go, and quickly too, farewell!
Heavenly powers restore
You jig, you amble, and you lisp, and nickname God's creatures, and make your wantonness your ignorance. Go to. I'll no more, and it hath made me mad. I say, we will have no more marriages. Those that are married already, all but one shall live. The rest shall keep as they are. To a nunnery go.
Oh, no, Ophelia. You need not tell us what Lord Hamlet said. We heard it all. Love, his affections do not that we tend, nor what he spoke, though it lacked form a little, was not like madness. There's something in his soul o'er which his melancholy sits on brood, and I do think the hatch and the disclose will be some danger, which for to prevent I have in quick determination thus set it down. He shall with speed to England. What think you on it?
It shall do well, yet I do believe the origin and commencement of his grief sprung from neglected love. My lord, do as you please, but if you hold fit after the play lays Queen Mother all alone entreat him to show his grief, let her be round with him, and I'll be pleased to please you in the ear of all their conference. If she find him not, to England send him, or confine him where your wisdom best shall think.
It shall be so. Madness in great ones must not unwatched go.
What a noble mind is here overthrown. The courtiers, soldiers, scholars, eye, tongue, sword. The expectancy and rose of the fair state, the glass of fashion and the mould of form, the observed of all observers quite. Ladies, most deject and wretched, that sucked the honey of his music vows, now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled out of tune and harsh. That unmatched form and feature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me, to have seen what I have seen. See by see.
How now, my lord? Will the king hear this piece of work?
And the queen too, and that presently.
Bid the players make haste. Will you two help hasten them?
We will, my lord.
Exceskim. Sogala mijam.
Oh, here, sweet lord, at your service.
Madam Mijam, there's a play tonight before the king. One scene of it comes near the circumstance which I told thee of my father's death. I prithee, observe mine uncle. If his occulted guilt do not itself unkennel in one speech, it is a damned ghost that we have seen, and my imaginations are as foul as a falcon's smithy.
Well, my lord, if he steal aught the whilst this play is playing and escape detecting, I will pay the theft.
They are coming to the play. I must be idle. Ambushal.
Enter Claudius and Gertrude, who take their seat alongside Polonius and Ophelia on a long sofa that sits center stage. In front of them, the players are setting up their performance space, rolling out a floor cloth and hanging a large piece of fabric across the frame, which serves as their shadow projection.
Mjana mjana.
Excellent in faith. Promise crammed.
I have nothing with this answer, Hamlet. These words are not mine.
No, no mine now. My lord, you played in the university once, you say?
Oh, that I did, and was accounted a good actor.
What did you enact?
Oh, I did enact Julius Caesar. I was killed in the Capitol. Brutus killed me.
Oh, it was a rude part of him to kill so capital a calf there. Be the players ready?
Hey, my lord, they say upon your patience.
Come hither, Sanalwam. Hamlet, sit by me.
Aye, Mama, here's metal more attractive.
Oh, do you mark that?
Lady, shall I lie in your lap?
No, my lord.
I mean my head upon your lap.
Aye, my lord.
Did you think I meant country matters?
I think nothing, my lord.
Oh, that's a fair thought, to lie between maids' legs.
What is, my lord?
Nothing.
You are Mary, my lord.
Who, I?
Aye, my lord.
Oh, God, you holy jig-maker. What should a man do but be merry? For look you how cheerfully my mother looks, and my father died within these 2 hours.
Nay, 'tis twice 2 months, my lord.
So long? Nay, then let the devil wear black, for I'll wear a suit of sables. Oh, heavens! Died 2 months ago and not forgotten yet.
For us and for our tragedy, here stooping to your clemency, we beg your hearing patiently.
Is this the prologue or the posy of a ring?
'Tis brief, my lord.
As woman's love.
What we are about to see performed should resemble a pretentious avant-garde student performance art piece. 2 actors arrive on the stage. The one is dressed as the player Kudu King, wearing a horned mask and traditional regalia, while the player Bird Queen teeters on high heels, wearing a leopard print corset, beaked mask, and plumage crown. A DJ stands behind a microphone and provides the voices of the characters.
Faith, I must leave thee, love, and shortly too. My operant powers, my functions leave to do, and thou shalt live in this fair world behind, honored, beloved, and happily one as kind for husband shalt thou. Oh, confound the rest! So much love must need be treasons in my breast. In second husband, let me be accursed. None wed the second, but who killed the first?
Wormwood.
A second time I killed my husband dead. When second husband kisses me in bed.
Oh, she should break it now.
Tis deeply sworn. Sweet, leave me here a while. Sleep. Rock thy brain, and never come mischance between us again.
Mamo, how like you this play?
The lady doth protest too much, methinks.
Oh, but she'll keep her word.
Have you heard the argument? Is there no offense in it?
Oh, no, they do but jest. Poison in jest, no offense in the world.
What do you call the play?
This play is the image of a murder done in Vienna. Gonzago's the Duke's name, and wife and sister you shall see anon. 'Tis a knavish piece of work, but what of that? Your Majesty and we that have free souls, it touches us not. Let the golden jade wince, our withers are unwrung.
Projections flash across the shadow screen. X-ray skulls, predatory animals stalking prey, maggots feasting on decaying flesh. Enter the horny Buffalo King, styled like a satyr, wearing a buffalo horn crown and mask and with an obscene strap-on dildo fastened around his waist.
This is Juan Lucianus, nephew to the king.
You are as good as a chorus, my lord.
I could interpret between you and your love if I could see the prophet stallion.
The horny Buffalo King begins to court the coy bird queen. She demonstrates a hammy sort of reluctance, but surrenders once he flashes his impressive phallus. In shadow, they begin to copulate, while the DJ pants pornographically into the microphone. After their fornicating is complete, the horny Buffalo King turns his attentions towards the sleeping Kudu King and begins stalking towards him. Hamlet tears down the shadow screen before roaring into the microphone.
Begin, murderer! Fox, leave thy damnable faces and begin! Come! The quaking raven doth bellow for revenge!
Thoughts black, hands apt, trance feet and time agreed. Confederate season, as no creature seen. Thou mixture rank of midnight weeds collected with head caved back. Thrice blasted, thrice infected, thy natural magic, and dry property, unwholesome life, usurp immediately!
The stage goes dark. Flashlights search the space before settling on the horny Buffalo King, pouring poison into the sleeping king's ears. The Kudu King begins to convulse uncontrollably, blood sputtering from his mouth. The bird queen enters, screaming at the sight.
Give me some light! Light! Away!
The flashlights wielded by the actors promptly turn away from the dying player to illuminate Claudius squirming on the sofa instead.
Lights! 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 Lights!
Good Horatio. I'll take the ghost's word for £1,000. Disperceive.
Very well, Fate.
Upon the talk of...
I did very well note him. Come, some music. For if the king liked not the comedy, why then he'd like it not. Perdie, come, some music.
Good, my lord, vouchsafe me a word with you.
Sir, a whole history.
The king, sir,
Aye, what of him?
is in his retirement marvellous distempered.
With drink, sir.
No, my lord, with choler. Good, my lord, put your discourse into some frame and start not so wildly from my affair.
I am tame, sir, pronounce.
Yeah, the queen, your mother, in most greatest affliction of spirit, hath sent me to you.
You are welcome.
Nay, good my lord, if it shall please you to make me a wholesome answer, I will do your mother's commandment.
Sir, I cannot.
In what, my lord?
Make you a wholesome answer. My wit's diseased. My mother, you say.
Then thus she says, your behavior had struck her into wonder and amazement.
Wonderful son, that can so astonish a mother. Impart.
She wishes to speak with you in her closet ere you go to bed.
We shall obey were she 10 times our mother. Have you any further trade with us?
My lord, you once did love me.
So I do still by these pickers and stealers.
Good my lord, what is the cause of your distemper? You do surely bar the door of your own liberty if you deny your griefs from your friend.
Sir, I lack advancement.
How can that be when you have the voice of the king himself for your succession in Denmark?
Aye, sir. But while the grass is green, the proverb is something musty. Oh, the recorder. Let me see one.
The actor playing the horny Buffalo King is changing from his costume and has just unstrapped the dildo before Hamlet snatches it from him and wags it rudely in Guildenstern's direction.
To withdraw with you? Why do you go about to recover the wind of me as if you would drive me into a toil?
My lord, if my duty be too bold, my love is too unmanly.
I do not well understand that. Will you play upon this pipe?
Lord, I cannot.
I pray you.
Believe me, I cannot.
I do beseech you.
I know no touch of it, my lord.
'Tis as easy as lying. Govern these stops with your fingers and thumb. Give it breath with your mouth, and it will discourse most excellent music. Look you, hear the stops.
Lord, I cannot command to any utterance of harmony. I have not the skill.
Why, look you, how unworthy a thing you make of me. You would play upon me. You would seem to know my stops. You would pluck out the heart of my mystery. You would sound me from my lowest note to the top of my compass. And there's much music, excellent voice in this little organ. Yet cannot you make it speak? Sblood, do you think I am easier to be played upon than a pipe? Call me what instrument you will, though you can fret me, you cannot play upon me. God bless you, sir.
My lord, your mother will speak with you, and quickly too.
Do you see yonder cloud that's almost in shape like a camel?
By the mast, 'tis like a camel indeed.
Methinks it's like a weasel.
Yeah, it is backed like a weasel.
Or like a whale.
Very like a whale.
Then I will come to my mother by and by. They fool me to the top of my bed. I will come by and by.
Hamlet hands the jiggling phallus to a mortified Polonius.
I will say so.
Well, by and by is easily said. Leave me, friend.
Hamlet is alone. A figure in hooded jacket, his face concealed, emerges and handed him a parcel before retreating back into the shadows. Hamlet crouches, removing the wrapping to reveal a handgun. In his excitement, he fumbles while loading a few loose bullets into the cartridge.
'Tis now the very witching time of night, when churchyards yawn and hell itself breathes out contagion to the world. Now could I drink hot blood and do such bitter business as the day would quake to look upon.
Claudius paces the stage before arriving at his drinks cabinet and pouring himself a whiskey. He then takes a seat on a carved throne upholstered in leopard skin.
Ububi besono sami, ivumba laso elibi phezulu emazulwini. Isono isinesona siqalekiso sidala. Isenzo sokugwintwa umntakwethu sinina isidingo sokuthandaza. Pray, can I not, though inclination be as sharp as will, nako ngoku esandla sibhutyubhutyu ligazi lomntakwethu, ingaba lowo amazulu aqhakazileyo anayo na imvulo yanele ukuba ihlambe igazi eli kwesi sandla ukuze sibe mhlophe okwekephu wethu. Serves mercy but to confront the visage of offense, and once in prayer, but this twofold force to be forestalled ere we come to fall, or pardoned being down. Ngiyakuphosa phezulu amehlo am, ngoba okwenzekileyo khona kufana nokudaliweyo. Isithaba sami, iminqweno yeyami futhi nenkosikazi iseyeyami. May one be pardoned and retain the offense. In the corrupted currents of this world, offence's gilded hand may shove by justice, and oft is seen the wicked prize itself buys out the law. But 'tis not so above. There is no shuffling. There the action lies in his true nature, and we ourselves compelled even to the teeth and forehead of our faults to give in evidence. What then? What rests? Try what repentance can. What can it not? Yet what cannot, when it cannot repent? O wretched state! O bosom black as death! O lime soul that's struggling to be free art more engaged!
Claudius grabs a bottle of his finest whiskey from the cabinet and pours its contents on the ground as an ample offering to his ancestors.
Make essay! Thou stubborn knees, and heart with strings of steel, these softest sinews of the newborn babe.
Hamlet rises behind his uncle with gun pointed.
Now my day that you're going to bring. And now I'll do it!
Lights rise on where we left off in the previous scene. Hamlet hovering over his praying uncle with a gun pointed towards the back of his head.
And so he goes to heaven. And so am I revenged. That would be scant. A villain kills my father, and for that, I, his sole son, do the same villain sent to heaven. Oh, this is higher in salary, not revenge. He took my father, grossly, full of bread, with all his crimes brought blown as flush as May. And how his audit stands, who knows, save heaven? And am I then revenged? To take him in the purging of his soul when he is fit and seasoned for his passage? No! Up, blade, and know thou a more horrid hint, when he is drunk, asleep, or in his rage, or in the incestuous pleasure of his bed, at gaming, swearing, or about some act that has no relish of salvation in it. Then trip him, that his heels may kick at heaven, and that his soul may be as damned and black as hell whereto it goes, my mother stays. This physic but prolongs thy sickly days.
My words fly up, my thoughts remain below. Words without thoughts never to heaven go.
Several clothing rails filled with Gertrude's extensive wardrobe close in downstage. Behind them, a large bed and dressing table. Gertrude appears wearing a nightgown and moisturizing face mask.
He will come straight. Look, you lay hold to him, tell him his pranks have been too broad to bear with, and that your grace has screened and stood between much grief and him. I'll silence Maven here. Pray you be round with him.
Mother! Mother! Mother!
I'll warrant you, fear me not. Withdraw, I hear him coming.
Oh, mother!
Polonius hides behind the rails. Hamlet enters, and while passing one of the clothing rails, notices Gertrude's old wedding dress hanging there. He yanks it off the hanger and throws it on over his shoulders before making his entrance.
Now, Mama,
Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended.
Mother, you have my father much offended.
Come, unpendule uvuvu.
Kengoku, you question with a wicked tongue.
Goba, how now, Hamlet?
What's the matter now?
Have you forgot me?
You're the queen, your husband's brother's wife. And would it were not so, you are my mother.
I'll send those to you that can speak.
Come and sit you down. You shall not budge. You go not till I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you.
Hamlet rips the mask off Gertrude's face before pulling out his gun and waving it accusingly at her.
What will thou do? Thou wilt not murder me. Help! Help! Ah!
Help! Oh, now a rat! Dead for a ducat! Dead!
Hamlet fires a shot in the direction of the cry.
Oh, me! What hast thou done?
Nay, I know not. Is it the king?
Oh, what a rash and bloody deed is this!
Bloody? A bloody deed, almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry with his brother.
As kill a king?
Aye, lady, 'twas my word. Thou wretched, rash, intruding fool, farewell. I took thee for thy better. Leave wringing of your hands, peace, sit you down, and let me wring your heart, for so I shall, if it be made of penetrable stuff.
What have I done, that thou darest wag thy tongue and noise so rude against me?
Such an act that blurs the grace and blush of modesty, calls virtue hypocrite, makes marriage vows as false as dice's oaths.
Kosiami, what act that roars so loud and thunders in the index?
Look here. Upon this picture and on this, the counterfeit presentment of two brothers. See what a grace was seated on this brow. Hyperion's curls, the front of Jove himself, an eye like Mars to threaten or command, a station like the herald Mercury, new lighted on a heaven-kissing hill, a combination and a form indeed where every god did seem to set his seal to give the world assurance of a man. This was your husband. Look you now what follows. Here is your husband like a mildewed ear, blasting his wholesome brother Unamesho. Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and batten on this moor, ha, Unamesho? You cannot call it love, for at your age, the heyday in the blood is tame, it's humble, and waits upon the judgment. And what judgment would step from this to this? What devil was it that thus hath cozened you at Whitman blind? Eyes without feeling, feeling without sight, ears without hands or eyes, smelling sounds all. Oh, but a sickly part of one true sense could not so mope. Oh, shame, where is thy blush?
Oh, Hamlet, Daniel, thou turnest mine eyes into my very soul. And there I see such black and grey-net spot as will not leave thy tint.
Nay, but to live in the rank sweat of an enseamed bed, stewed in corruption, honeying and making love over the nasty sty.
Oh, speak to me no more. These words like daggers enter in mine ears. No more, sweet Hamlet.
A murderer and a villain, a slave that's not 20th part the tithe of your precedent, lord, a vice of kings, a cutpurse of the empire and the rule that from the shelf the precious diadem stole and put it in his pocket.
No more!
The ancestor king appears, hovering at the top of the bed, his gaze fixed on Hamlet.
King of shreds and patches! Save me and hover o'er me with your wings, to your heavenly gods. What would your gracious forgive?
Alas, he's mad.
Do you not come your tardy son to chide? That lapse in time and passion lets go by the important active of your dread command. Oh, say.
Do not forget, this visitation is but towards thy almost planted purpose. But look, amazement of thy mother sits. Oh, step between her and her fighting soul. Conceit in weakest body's strongest works. Tatanae, Hamlet.
How is it with you, lady?
Alas, how is it with you that you do bend your eye on vacancy and with the incorporeal air do hold discourse? Forth at your eyes your spirit widely peep. Oh, gentle sun, upon the heat and flame of thy distemper sprinkle cool patience. Whereon do you look?
On him. On him. Look you, how pale he glares. Do not look upon me, lest with this piteous action you convert my stern effects. Then what I have to do will want true color. Tears, perchance, for blood.
To who do you speak this?
Do you see nothing there?
Nothing at all, yet all is at what I see.
No, do you nothing here?
No, nothing but ourselves.
Why? Look you there. Look how it steals away. My father in his habit as he lived. Look where he goes even now out at the portal.
This is the very carnage of your brain, this bodiless creature ecstasy. He's very cunning in.
Ecstasy. My pulse, as yours, doth temperately keep time, and makes as healthful music. It is not madness that I have uttered. Bring me to the test, and I the matter will reword, which madness would gamble from. Mother, for love of grace, lay not that flattering unction to your soul, that not your trespass but my madness speaks. It will but skin and film the ulcerous place, whilst rank corruption mining all within infects unseen. Confess yourself to heaven. Repent what's past, avoid what is to come, and do not spread the compost or the weeds to make them ranker.
Oh, Hamlet. Undikhazula inhliziyo kabuhlungu.
Oh, mamami, lahla limdak, and leave the pure with the other half. Good night, but do not go to mine uncle's bed. Assume a virtue if you have it not. Refrain tonight, and that shall lend a kind of easiness to the next abstinence. Once more, good night. And when you are desirous to be blessed, I'll blessing beg of you. For the same Lord I do repent. But heaven hath pleased it so to punish me with this and this with me, that I must be their scourge and minister. I will bestow him, and will answer well the death I gave him. So again, good night. I must be cruel, only to be kind. Thus bad begins and worse remains behind. One word more, good lady.
What shall I do?
Not this, by no means that I bid you do. Let the bloat king tempt you again to bed. Pinch wanton on your cheek, call you his mouse. Let him for a pair of reaching kisses or paddling in your neck with his damned fingers make you to ravel all this matter out. That I essentially am not in madness. The maddened craft.
Be thou assured, if words be made of breath and breath of life, I have no life to breathe what thou hadst said to me.
Indeed, this counselor is now most secret, most still, and most grave, who was in life a foolish, prating knave. Come, sir, to draw toward an end with you.
Hamlet exits, pulling the corpse of Polonius behind him as the clothing rails close on the scene like a curtain. In the distance, we observe Horatio hesitating for a moment before approaching Ophelia. He relays to her the news of her father's death. Ophelia stares at him for a moment before shaking her head in disbelief. Horatio moves to comfort her, but she strikes out at him angrily, her cries ringing out. Lights fade on the exchange. Enter a flustered Claudius dressed in golfing attire, having just been interrupted mid-game. This time he is flanked by 2 armed guards.
How dangerous is it that this man goes loose? Yet must not we put the strong law on him? He is loved of the distracted multitude. How now? What has befallen?
Where the dead body is bestowed, my lord, we cannot get from him.
But where is he?
Without, my lord, guarded to know your pleasure.
Bring him before us.
Oh, Guildenstern, bring in, my lord.
Hamlet, still wearing his mother's wedding dress and armed with the kudu head mount, charges at Guildenstern. The guards attempt to stop him, but Hamlet beelines for Claudius, who fights him off with a golf club. Hamlet mock charges a second time with the horned head before the guards are able to restrain him.
Now, Hamlet, O Polonius.
At supper.
At supper? Be!
Not where he eats, but where he is eaten. A certain convocation of politic worms are eaten at him. Your worm is your only emperor for diet. We fat all creatures else to fat us, and we fat ourselves, maggots.
Titla was said George Koch.
A man may fish with a worm that hath eat of a king, and eat of the fish that hath fed of that worm.
Yintoni le nto uthethayo?
But to show you how a king may go a progress to the guts of a beggar.
Ndithi uphi uPolonius?
In heaven. Send thither to see. If your messenger find him not there, seek him the other place yourself. But indeed, if you find him not this month, you shall nose him as you go up the stairs into the lobby.
Go and seek him there. Come on!
He will stay till you come.
Hamlet, this deed for thine especial safety, which we do tender, as we dearly grieve for that which thou hast done, must send thee hence with fiery quickness. Therefore prepare yourself. The bark is ready and the wind at help. The associates tend, and everything is bent for England.
For England?
Farewell, Hamlet.
Good!
So is it if you knew our purposes.
I see a cherub that sees them. But come, for England. Farewell, dear mother.
Ndinguyihlo, Hamlet.
Oh, Mum. Father and mother is man and wife. Man and wife is one flesh, and so, my mother. Come, for England.
Do it, England. For like the fever in my blood here rages, and thou must cure me till I know 'tis done, where'er my joys were ne'er begun.
A large roll of bubble wrap is rolled out at a diagonal across the entire length of the stage. Ophelia enters in her underwear and lies on her belly on the furthest end of the plastic before rolling the whole way, the bubble wrap winding around her, popping and cracking as she goes. Gertrude and Horatio watch from a distance.
I will not speak with her.
She is importunate, indeed distraught. Her mood will needs be pitied.
What would she have?
She speaks much of her father, says she hears there's tricks in the world, speaks things in doubt that carry half sense. Her speech is nothing, yet the unshaped use of it does move the hearers to collection.
Take who she was spoken with, for she makes true dangerous conjectures in ill-breeding minds. Let her come in. Sin's true nature is. Each choice seems prologue to some great amiss. So full of artless jealousy is guilt, it spills itself in fearing to be spilt.
Ophelia rises from the floor, straight-jacketed in her bubble-wrap layers. She wrestles her arms free and begins to obsessively inflate black balloons with helium from a tank left over from the wedding, tying each one to a ribbon.
Where's the beauteous majesty of Denmark?
How now, Ophelia?
Should I, your true love, know from another one? Ka hutse ya gagwe le disendele la gago le gone.
Alas, sweet lady, what imports this song?
Say you? Nay. Pray you? Mark. Dead and gone. Lady, he's dead and gone. At his head, a grass-green turf. At his heels, a stone.
Nay, but Ophelia...
Pray you! Shroud as the mountain snow.
Alas, look here, my lord.
Larded with sweet flowers which be wet to the grave did not go with true love flowers.
Kunjani nkosazana?
Well, God healed you. Anagaroskavana Jezebel kere. But now I eat. Lord, we know not what we are, but know not what we may be. God be at your table.
Conceit upon her father.
Ophelia
Pray you!
continues.
But when they ask you what it means, say you this. Tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day, all in the morning betime, and I am made at your window to be your Valentine. Then up he rose and donned his clothes, and up to the chamber door, let in the maid that out a maid never departed more.
Ah, pretty Ophelia.
Without an oath. I'll make an end on it. I'm more than a legeso, okimitsing. Alack and fie for shame. Young men will do it if they come to it. By cock they are to blame. Quoth she, before you tumbled me, you promised me to wed. He answers, so would I have done by yonder sun, and thou hadst not come to my bed.
How long has she been thus?
I hope all will be well. We must be patient. I cannot choose but weep. To think that they should lay him in the cold ground. My sister shall know of it. And so, I thank you for your good counsel. Come, my coach. Good night, sweet ladies. Good night. Good night, sweet ladies. Good night.
Oh, Gertrude, xa zifike insizwa. Siyakubongela. Waqala kwagwintwa uyise.
Abel! What noise is this?
Oh, thou vile king, give me my father!
Calmly, good Laertes.
That drop of blood that's calm proclaims me bastard.
What is the cause, Laertes, that thy rebellion looks so giant-like?
Where's my father?
Uswelekile.
But not by him.
Miyake makaqhubeka, ufuna ukwazi.
How came he dead? I'll not be juggled with. To hell allegiance, vows to the blackest devil, conscience and grace to the profoundest pit. I dare damnation. To this point I stand. Let come what comes, only I will be revenged most thoroughly for my father.
Who shall stay you?
None, my will, not all the world's.
Good Laertes, if you do desire to know the certainty of your dear father's death, is to writ in your revenge. That swoop-stake you will draw both friend and foe, winner and loser.
Only his enemies.
Will you know them then?
To his good friends, thus wide will I open my arms, and like the kind, life-rendering pelican, repast them with my blood.
Why, now you speak like a good child and a gentle woman, that I am guiltless of your father's death, and am most sensible in grief for it. It shall, as level to your judgment, pierce as day does to your eye.
Oh no! What noise is that?
They bore him. They bore him, barefaced on the bier, and on his grave reigns many a tear. Fare you well, my dove.
Hadst thou thy wits and didst persuade revenge, it could not move thus.
Down, 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 down. Down, down.
This nothing's more than matter.
Ophelia retrieves her balloons from Gertrude and begins handing them out to each family member.
There's rosemary. That's for remembrance. Pray. Love. Remember. And there's pansies. That's for thoughts. There's fennel for you. And columbines. Kitsui for wena. And Lena Kaikoka. We may call it herb grace on Sundays. Go transore o apare ya gago with a difference. There's a daisy. I would give you some violets, but they withered all when Papaka died. They said he made a good end. Que Polonius. Que
Thought and affliction, passion, hell itself she turns to favor and to prettiness.
White as snow, all flaxen was his pole. Mommy, what's Amihle? And we cast away moan. God have mercy on his soul, and of all Christian souls. I pray, Morena Jesu, asalelinye na noche.
Ophelia keeps the last remaining balloon for herself. She walks to the front of the stage and releases it to the heavens, watching as it makes its ascent into the rafters before disappearing altogether.
Oh, heat, dry up my brain. Tears 7 times salt burn out the sense and virtue of mine eyes. Oh, Rose of May, dear maid, kind sister, sweet Ophelia, oh heavens! Is it possible a young maid's wit should be as mortal as an old man's life?
Laertes, I must commune with your grief, or you deny me right. Go but apart, make choice of whom your wisest friends you will, and they shall hear and judge twixt you and me. If by direct or by collateral hand they find us touched, we will our kingdom give, our crown, our life, and all that we call ours to you in satisfaction. But if not, be you content to lend your patience to us, and we shall jointly labor with your soul to give it due content.
Let this be so. His means of death, his obscure funeral, no trophy, sword, nor hatchment o'er his bones, no noble rite, no formal ostentation, cry to be heard, as 'twere from heaven on earth, that I must call it in question.
And where the offense is, let the great axe fall. I pray you, go with me.
Lights up on Ophelia, a cigarette in hand and sipping from a bottle of wine. She removes a dusty record from her father's old collection and places it on the turntable before stubbing out her cigarette. Miriam Makeba sings the plaintive, "Where Does It Lead?" Ophelia shrinks to the floor and empties the contents of a sleeping pill container into her palm. Hamlet emerges from the shadows, and before she is able to consume the pills, he takes her hand and pulls her gently back to her feet and into his arms. Together they fall into an intimate and awkward shuffle as Makeba sings. As the song concludes, Hamlet leaves Ophelia's arms and recedes back into distant memory. Ophelia is alone again. She sits in the silence, contemplating again her palm full of sleeping pills.
Now must your conscience my acquaintance seal, and you must put me in your heart for friend. Sith have you heard, and with a knowing ear, that he which hath your father, noble father, slain, pursued my life.
It well appears, but tell me why you proceeded not against these feats.
Oh, for two special reasons, which may to you perhaps seem much unsinewed, and yet to me they are strong. The queen, his mother, lives almost by his looks, and for myself, my virtue or my plague, be it either which, she is so conjunctive to my life and soul, that as the star moves not but in his sphere, I could not but by her. The other motive why to a public count I might not go is the great love the general gender bear him.
And so have I, a noble father lost, a sister driven into desperate terms, whose worth, if praises may go back again, stand challenger on mount of all the ages for her perfections. But my revenge will come.
Break not your sleeps for that. You shortly shall hear more. Letters from Hamlet. High and mighty, you shall know that I am set naked on your kingdom. Tomorrow shall I beg leave to see your kingly eyes, when I shall first asking your pardon hereunto recount the occasion of my sudden and more strange return. Hamlet. 'Tis Hamlet's character, naked, and in a postscript here he says, alone. Can you advise me?
I'm lost in it, my lord. But let him come. It warms the very sickness in my heart that I shall live and tell him to his teeth, thus didst thou.
Will you be ruled by me?
Aye, my lord. If so, you'll not all rule me to a peace.
If he be now returned, I will work him to an exploit now ripe in my device, under the which he shall not choose but fall, and for his death no wind of blame shall breathe, but even his mother shall uncharge the practice and call it accident.
My lord, I will be ruled.
You have been talked of since your travel much, and that in Hamlet's hearing, for a quality for art and exercise in your defence, and for your rapier most especially, that he cried out, 'twould be a sight indeed if one could match you. Sir, this report of his did Hamlet so envenom with his envy, that he could nothing do but wish and beg your sudden coming o'er to fence with him now. Out of this.
What out of this, my lord?
Laertes, was your father dear to you? Umkumkanikazi uthini sithandwa?
One woe doth tread upon another's heels, so fast they follow. Your sister's drowned, Laertes.
Lights remain softly on Gertrude, her speech running in conjunction with the imagery occurring on the stage behind her. The upstage floor is covered in a sea of bubble wrap, which the company holds on either side and undulate gently. Projected water patterns, shimmering moonlight, and stars dance across the surface of it and complete the illusion. The singing of the female ancestor can be heard in the distance, calling Ophelia to the water. We can just make out this mysterious maternal figure on the opposite side of the riverbank. Trance-like, Ophelia begins cutting herself free from the constraints of the bubble-wrap dress until she is free of it. Dressed in her underwear, Ophelia begins to follow the call of her ancestor, wading into the water to reach her. She turns on her back and lies suspended on the surface for a moment, staring up at the moon, the cast supporting her unseen from beneath the tides of bubble-wrap sheeting.
There is a willow grows aslant a brook that shows his whole leaves in the glassy stream. There, with fantastic garlands did she come of crow flowers, nettles, daisies, and long purples that liberal shepherds give a grosser name. But our cold maids do dead men's fingers call them? There, on the pendant boughs, a coronet weeds, clambering to hang, an envious sliver broke. When down here weedy trophies and a sow fell in the weeping brook, her clothes spread wide and murmured like a while they bore her up. Which time she chanted snatches of old tunes as one incapable of her own distress, or like a creature native and endued unto that element. But long it could not be till that her garments, heavy with their drink, pulled the poor wretch from her melodious lay to muddy death.
Ophelia shuts her eyes and surrenders to the cool, vanishing beneath the surface of the water. Lights transition back to where Gertrude sits with Laertes and Claudius.
Alas then, is she drowned?
Drowned. Drowned.
Too much of water hast thou, poor Ophelia, and therefore I forbid my tears. But yet I have a speech of fire that fain would blaze, but that this folly douses it.
A gravedigger, an elderly Zulu man, is knee-deep in the grave, turfing mounds of earth aside with his shovel, as in the first scene of the play. He smokes a newspaper rolling, a wireless radio beside him playing Zulu gospel music.
Has this fellow no feeling of his business that he sings in grave? Whose grave is this, Mshobam?
Elami mnumzane.
I think it be thine indeed, for thou liest in it.
Well, you lie out on it, sir. Therefore, 'tis not yours. For my part, I do not lie in it. Yet, 'tis mine.
What man dost thou dig it for?
For no man, sir.
What woman then?
For none neither.
Who is to be buried in it?
Oh, one that was a woman, sir. God will rest her soul, useshonile.
How absolute the name is. How long has thou been a maker?
Way, ma, of all the days of the year, I came to it that day that our last King Hamlet overcame Fortinbras.
How long is that since?
Can you not tell that? Every fool can tell that. It was the very day that young Hamlet was born. He that was mad and sent to England.
Aye, marry you, why was he sent to England?
He shall recover his wits there, or if he do not, it's no great matter there.
Goba.
'Twill not be seen in him. There the men are as mad as he.
How came he mad?
Very strangely, they say.
How strangely?
Faith in with losing his wits.
Upon what ground?
Why, here in Denmark, I have been sexed in here, man and boy, 30 years.
How long will a man lie in the earth ere he rot?
Hey, Faith. If he be not rotten before he die, he will last you some 8 or 9 years. Here is a skull, sir. This skull has lain in the earth 23 years.
Whose was it?
Kwakwelkamakhulu. Whose do you think it was?
Nay, and theirs I know not.
This same skull, sir. Besikayonela. Ugogo Hamlet.
Esi.
This.
Let me see. Oh, teaser. Uyonela. I knew her, Horatio. A woman of infinite jest and most excellent fancy.
Isolated upstage by a faint pool of light, Yornela, with a babe, Hamlet, tied to her back with a blanket. She hums a lullaby to the child, rocking it sweetly to sleep. Strains of her song filter into Hamlet's memory.
She hath borne me on her back 1,000 times. Kengoku, how abhorred my imagination is. My gorge rises at it. Here hum those lips that I have kissed I know not how oft. Where be your jibes now? Your gambols? Ingoma zako? Your flashes of merriment that were wont to set the table on a roll? Not one now to mock your own grinning. Quite chapfallen. Now get you to my lady's chamber and tell her. Let her paint an inch thick. To this favor she must come. Make her laugh at that. Horatio, tell me one thing.
What's that, my lord?
Dost think Makoma looked in this fashion in the earth?
Even so.
Oh, it smelled so pow.
Even so, my chief.
Imperial Shaka, dead and turned to clay, might stop a hole to keep the wind away.
'Twere to consider too curiously to consider so.
The funeral procession arrive at the grave, following behind the coffin.
But soft. Who comes here?
Lay her in the earth, and from her fair and unpolluted flesh may violets spring.
Sweets to the sweet, farewell. I hope thou shouldst have been my Hamlet's wife. I thought thy bride bare to have decked, sweet maid, and not to have strewed thy grave.
Oh, treble woe! Fall 10 times on that cursed head whose wicked deed thy most ingenious sense deprived thee of. Hold off the earth a while, till I have caught her once more in mine arms. Now, pile your dust upon the quick and dead, till of this flat a mountain you have made, to o'ertop old Pelion or the skyish head of fair Olympus.
What is he whose grief bears such emphasis? Whose phrase of sorrow conjures the wandering stars and makes them stand like wonder-wounded hearers. Dimgelo!
The devil take thy soul.
Thou prayest not well. I pray thee take thy fingers from my throat, for though I am not splenic and ash, yet I have something in me dangerous, which let thy wisest fear hold of thy hand.
Hamlet! Hamlet!
Good my lord, be quiet.
Why, I will fight with her upon this theme until my eyelids no longer wag.
Oh, my son, what theme?
Tandem tanda, Ophelia. 40,000 sisters could not with their quantity of love make up my sum. What wilt thou do for her?
Sanya, he is mad, Laertes.
Oh, for the love of God, forbear him.
Swoons, show me what thou wilt do. Would weep, would fight, would fast, would tear thyself, would drink up easel, eat a crocodile? I'll do it. Does come there to whine, to outface me with leaping in her grave. Be buried quick with her, and so will I.
This is mere madness. And thus a while the fit will work on him.
I pray you, good Horatio, wait upon him. Good Gertrude, set some watch over your son.
I couldn't like it. Let Hercules himself do what he may. The cat will mew, and the dog will have his day. Here, Galena-san. Now you shall hear the other. You do remember the circumstance?
Remember it, my chief.
Bijam, in my heart there was a kind of fighting that would not let me sleep. Up from my cabin, my sea gown scarfed about me in the dark, groped I to find them out had my desire. Fingered their packet, making so bold to unseal their grand commission, where I found, Horatio, an exact command that on the supervise no leisure baited, no. Not to stay the grinding of the axe, my head should be struck off.
Is it possible?
Here's the commission, read it at more leisure. But wilt thou now hear how I did proceed, being thus benetted round with villainies? I sat me down, devised a new commission, I wrote it fair. An earnest conjuration from the king, as England was his faithful tributary, that on the view and knowing of these contents, without debatement further, more or less, he should the bearers put to sudden death, not shriving time allowed.
So Guildenstern and Rosencrantz go to it.
Jamam, they did make love to their employment. They're not near my conscience. Their defeat does by their own insinuation grow.
Johnny, what a king is this?
Fundine, is it not perfect conscience to quit him with this arm? And is it not to be damned to let this canker of our nature come in further evil?
It must be shortly known to him from England. What is the issue of business there?
It will be short. The interim is mine. And a man's life's no more than to say one. But I am very sorry, good Horatio, that to Laertes I forgot myself. For by the image of my cause I see the portraiture of hers.
Paul, who comes here?
Your lordship is right welcome back.
I humbly thank thee, sir. Dost know this butterfly?
Oh, my good lord.
Thy state is the more gracious.
Sweet lord, if your friendship were at leisure, I should impart a thing or two from his majesty.
I will receive it, sir, with all diligence of spirit. Put your bonnet to its right use, 'tis for the head.
I thank you. It's very hot. Sir, here is newly come to court Laertes. Believe me, an absolute gentlewoman, full of most excellent differences, of very soft society and great showing. Indeed, to speak feelingly of her, she is the card and calendar of gentry. For you shall find in her the continent of what part a gentlewoman would see.
What imports this nomination of her?
Of Laertes.
Of her, sir.
You are not ignorant of what excellence she is at her weapon?
What's her weapon?
Rapier and dagger.
Oh, that's two of her weapons, but well.
The king, sir, hath laid in a dozen passes between yourself and her. She shall not exceed you by 3 hits. He hath laid 12 for 9, and it would come to immediate trial if your lordship would vouchsafe an answer.
How if I answer no?
I mean, my lord, the opposition of your person in trial.
Sir, I will walk here in the hall. If it please His Majesty, just the breathing time of day with me, that the foils be brought.
I commend my duty to your lordship.
Yours?
You will lose this wager, Mfowethu.
I do not think so. I shall win at the odds. But I'm not how ills all's here about my heart. but 'tis no matter.
If your mind dislike anything, obey it. I will forestall their repair hither, and say you are not fit.
We defy augury. There's a special providence in the fall of a sparrow. If it be now, 'tis not to come. If it be to come, it will be now. If it be not now, yet it will come. The readiness is all.
It is the day of the fight, and the main hall has been prepared for the occasion. Enter Claudius, Gertrude, and Laertes with the king's assistants and supporters carrying the foils and trays of wine glasses.
Sundela Hamlet, come take this hand from me.
I've done you wrong. But pardon it as you are in Nicholas. This presence knows, and you must needs have heard how I am punished with sword distraction. Land Indian zeal, that might your nature, honor, and exception roughly awake, I here proclaim was madness. Flabawam, in this audience, let my disclaiming from a purposed evil free me so far in your most generous thoughts that I have shot mine arrow o'er the house and hurt my sister.
I am satisfied. I do receive your offered love like love, and will not wrong it.
I do embrace it freely, and will the sisters' wager frankly play? Give us the foils, come on.
Come, one for me.
I'll be your foil, Laertes, in mine ignorance. Your skill shall, like a star in the darkest night, stick fiery off indeed.
You mock me, sir.
No, by this hand.
Give them the foils, young Osric. Cousin Hamlet, you know the wager.
Gag, Sitang, your grace hath laid the odds on the weaker side.
I do not fear it. I have seen you both, but since she is bettered, we have therefore odds.
This is too heavy. Let me see another.
This likes me well.
My good lord.
If Hamlet give the first or second hit, or quit in answer of the third exchange, let all the battlements their ordnance fire. The king shall drink to Hamlet's better breath, and in the cup an union shall he throw richer than that which 4 successive kings in Denmark's crown have worn. And let the kettle to the trumpet speak, the trumpet to the cannoneer without, the cannons to the heaven to earth. Now the king drinks to Hamlet. Come, begin. And you, the judges, bear a wary eye.
Swagalam fit.
Masami.
1!
No!
Judgment!
Hit! A very palpable hit!
Well, again.
Stay, give me the drink. Hamlet, this pearl is thine. Here's to thy health. Give him the cup.
I'll play this bout first. Set it by a while. Swagala, another hit. What say you?
A touch, I do confess.
Our son shall win.
He is scant of breath. Here, Hamlet, take my napkin, rub thy brows. The queen carouses to thy fortune.
Gertrude, do not drink.
I will, my lord. I pray you pardon me.
It is too late. It is the poison cup.
I dare not drink yet, madam. By and by.
Come, let me wipe your face.
My lord, I'll hit him now.
I do not think it.
And yet this almost against my conscience.
Come for the third, Laertes. You do but dally. I pray you, pass with your best violence.
Say you so, come on.
Nothing, neither way.
Come at you now.
Part them, they are incensed.
Nay, come again.
Look at the queen there! Oh!
They bleed on both sides. No, no.
How is it, Laertes?
Why, as a woodcock to mine own springes, Osric. I am justly killed with mine own treachery.
It swoons to see them bleed.
No! The drink! The drink! Oh, my dear Hamlet! The drink! The drink! I am poisoned!
How? Let the doors be locked! Treachery! Seek it out!
It is here, Hamlet. Hamlet, thou art slain. No medicine in the world can do thee good. In thee there is not half an hour of life. The treacherous instrument is in thine hand, unblunted and envenomed. The foul practice has turned itself on me. Lo, here I lie, never to rise again. Thy mother's poison. I can no more. The king is to blame.
The ancestor king appears, flanked by Polonius, Ophelia, Guildenstern, Rosencrantz, and Dionela. They watch on, illuminated in a corridor of light.
Hold it. Defend me, friend. I am not hurt.
Iphindiselele ngokundibulala kwakhe ngesihluku.
Enough, thou incestuous, murderous, damned Dane! Mlandelo, mama!
Hamlet pulls out his pistol and fires.
Exchange forgiveness with me, noble Hamlet. Mine and my father's death come not upon thee, nor thine on me.
Heaven make thee free of it. Teklandel. I am dead, Horatio. Wretched queen, adieu. You, who look pale and tremble at this chance, that are but mutes or audience to this act, bendinganixelela. As this fell surgeon, death, is strict in his arrest, bendinganixelela. But let it be, Horatio, I am dead. Thou livest. Report me and my cause, a right to the unsatisfied.
Never believe it. I am more an antique Roman than a Dane. Yeah, some liquor left.
Give me the cup. Let go, by heaven. I'll have it. Oh, good Horatio. What a wounded name. Things standing thus unknown shall leave behind me. If thou didst ever hold me in thy heart, absent me from felicity a while, and in this harsh world draw thy breath in pain, to tell thy story. Okunya nokunya. Helena.
Hamlet, in his dying vision, glimpses the spectating ancestors watching over him, as if waiting for him to join their ranks. He steps into the corridor and joins the line, and as the ancestors' king's kudu horn sounds for a final time, the light drains out.
Now that's the noble heart. Good night. Prince, in flight of angels sing thee to thy rest.